Okay, it's been long enough. Let's talk about Corona again. It's been almost 2 years since the start of the pandemic, and over a year since the last episode I talked about this. In that time, I got vaccinated, in part so I wouldn't have to wear a mask everywhere. And then almost immediately afterwards, our state enforced mask mandates for pretty much every indoor building, regardless of your vaccination status, and it's been like that ever since. And I'm not afraid to say, I feel cheated, bro. I got straight up bamboozled by the state of Washington. It used to be if you were vaccinated, no mask required, baby. You got to feel like a free human being again. Now I've got Uncle Moderna swimming through my veins like a fish in the sea, and it feels like it just does not matter at all. By the way, I read a thing that all the different vaccine brands were getting names that were all terrible, so now the Moderna vaccine is going to be called Spikevax. And that's just the dumbest shit I ever heard. Spikevax. They don't even use syringes anymore. They just put a porcupine in your lap and piss it off. And they're talking about boosters now? I ain't doing it. I'm not anti-vax, I am anti-booster, 100%. I got that shit already. I'm done. If this bitch mutates any further, then close the curtain on Sunburned Albino. I accept it. I am not going to Walgreens again, getting a shot, and then being forced to sit across from the tampons for 15 minutes while I wait to see if I start having convulsions, or whatever happens to the unlucky few who get serious side effects. Just so there's no doubt about specifically where I stand on certain aspects of this situation, I think mask mandates for vaccinated people are bullshit. I got that needle in me twice primarily so I could breathe clean air at the grocery store, and secondarily to lessen the effects if I were ever to actually get COVID, which I apparently already had with no side effects before vaccinating, because both my parents got it at the same time and fell mildly ill, and I was near them plenty during the incubation period, and I don't wear a mask in my own house because I'm not the weirdest person I could ever think of. If you want to wear a mask, you absolutely go buck wild. Let nobody stop you. Wear 8 masks. Wear a full suit of armor like a knight of the round table. Take whatever preventative measures for yourself that you want to do. But you don't get to force vaccinated people to act as your second mask. You want me to help prevent you from getting sick? I do it every second I choose not to lift up your mask and cough down your throat. You're welcome. Just internalize that whatever reasoning the government gives for whatever it tells you to do at any given time is going to be obsolete in 2 months when they walk half of it back and change their minds about the length and severity of the policies they implement like they've done at least 4 times already. I don't like when people treat TV experts like they're fucking daddy. Ooh, let's lionize Daddy Fauci. Daddy dog-murdering Fauci is the hero of our time. When Daddy Fauci, the puppy slayer, tells me to jump off a cliff, I say, with how many puppies, Daddy? There's some argumentation about whether that story is true or whether the initial story about his organization debarking and sandworm face-eating beagle puppies or whatever is false, but another story about covering them with hundreds of blood-sucking ticks is true. It's the internet, so conflicting information is just par for the course. Animal testing is a tough issue. On one hand, I absolutely despise thinking about it in any capacity. It makes me sick. On the other hand, it makes our lives safer and better to like an absurd degree. Like without it, we would be nowhere close to anything we got going on. Probably eliminated as a species already if we didn't iron out medicinal kinks on rats first, at least. And I don't feel any better about rats being bred for experimentation than I would dogs. Vegans will harp all day and night nowadays on the intelligence of pigs, but rats know what's up too. Rats are emotionally intelligent enough to understand the concept of fair play. If 2 rats play wrestle, and one is larger than the other, obviously the larger rat wins, right? But if the larger rat wins all the time, the smaller rat won't want to play anymore. So what does the larger rat do? He lets his smaller friend win a third of the time, so he'll keep wanting to play. There are plenty of humans who aren't as mentally developed as those rats. They plan their entertainment out for the future. They have a balanced friendship dynamic, and they die screaming in cages for the betterment of human society. And despite me hating it, it's hard for me to say they shouldn't. Here's my take on experts, whether they do deadly experiments on puppies or not, and it's nuanced, so prepare your craniums for a fence-teetering answer some of you will only be half on board with. When experts get things wrong, people like to no longer trust experts, and these corona experts have gotten it certifiably wrong plenty of times, ever since the pandemic started, whether they were wrong about its origins or its staying power or what's necessary to avoid getting it, or whether or not there'd be more strains or variants, or who it's deadly to, or what treatments are effective. Every step of the way there's been contradiction between the information they tell us and the policies they've recommended, and it changes in the blink of an eye. In the first 6 months, there were so many just kiddings from the experts, I just zoned out and stopped paying attention. And somehow you still have people militantly screaming, "Trust the experts!" So that's all there as experience to inform one side of a viewpoint. On the other hand, trusting experts, statistically, provided no corruption has taken place, is still a better play than using your own less informed judgment on something. The hell do we know about corona? If the experts got it wrong, why wouldn't we? For as much distrust as you'd have in an expert with a bad track record, I have no idea why that amount wouldn't grow exponentially at the idea of a bunch of random strangers using their lived experiences as confirmation bias. If someone proudly exclaims they've never been vaccinated or wore a mask and they went to 6 house parties a week and never caught COVID, or maybe they were asymptomatic and didn't know it, I don't look at that and go, "Ha! See that, Joe Biden?" Joe, wake up. "See that, Joe Biden?" Joe, why do you have poop in your pants? "See that, Joe Biden? America doesn't need masks or vaccines, Joe Biden. This outlier testimonial proves it." I know that people have died from COVID. Vaccinated people who wear masks have died from COVID. That's sort of just gonna happen, the same way people die of cancer or the flu despite their best efforts. And for the tiny minority whose best efforts still aren't enough, the answer isn't to force everyone else to redouble their efforts in service to those people. You can't make these numbers zero. The balance between freedom and security is like the most delicate thing you can even imagine. Mandates and shit tilt that balance towards security at the cost of freedom, a cost that the people in power making that decision have little reason to ever repay you for. So while you're getting all comfy with your added security, maybe check to see if your neighbor is still allowed to go to work and feed his family. So I said to trust the experts provided no corruption has taken place, but if you believe corruption has taken place, I have nothing to argue against that. It's hard to believe a pandemic in this day and age wouldn't be capitalized on by every possible manner of self-serving opportunists, and the way it was bungled so expertly in the first place, giving convenient rise to all these new household name corporations, there is certainly no shortage of cover-ups and quid pro quos happening behind the scenes. I fucking guarantee it. Life is a Disney movie with thousands of villains and few heroes, and the corporate media is just a propagandistic mouthpiece these days. There are alternative treatments to COVID that they don't want you to know about for some reason. Like how CNN slandered ivermectin as just horse dewormer after Joe Rogan publicly said he was taking it amongst other things when he caught COVID, except ivermectin is prescribed by doctors to humans because it has other properties as well that literally help fight COVID. It won a Nobel Prize in 2015 for its human efficacy, and Joe Rogan had CNN's medical correspondent on his podcast and tore his ass up about them purposely misrepresenting shit. But now the FDA and whoever else are trying to crack down on it and ban it, and it's hard to look at that sequence of events and say it's not because they just don't want people to know there are other successful treatment options that might make the idea of a vaccine less necessary to some people. I'm not a huge conspiracy guy, but this whole pandemic just seems bought and paid for. I mean, it's looking like Fauci also lied about gain-of-function research going on into coronaviruses pre-pandemic, which would mean A, it came from a lab, and B, I still remember when this all started, they tried to debunk the Wuhan lab shit as a conspiracy theory in and of itself, and C, if that's true, then yeah, the experts are fucking corrupt, and these Disney villains control all the information. Damn, this is not where I expected this script to take me when I started writing it. Shit's kinda bad out here. None of this is to say don't get vaccinated. I mean, I did it. I don't really regret it per se, but the mask mandates do make it feel like kind of a waste of time. But yeah, this is all 100% a humongous conspiracy, so that's fun to be a part of. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like the video, which helps the algorithm, I guess. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino. Subscribe, and maybe also become a channel member for exclusive access to my Discord and the first members-only post in the community tab. And I'll see you guys next time.